Hey everyone, it's November 23rd, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share with British serial killer and necrophiliac Dennis Andrew Nielsen, known as the Kindly Killer, who murdered at least 12 victims beginning in the late 1970s, and that is him right over there. Born to a Norwegian soldier and Scottish mother in Aberdeenshire in 1945, Nielsen's father was an alcoholic who spent little time with the family, and his parents divorced when he was just 2 years old. He spent much of his childhood being raised by his grandparents, and when his grandfather died in 1951, he saw the body while it was awaiting burial. He discovered that he was gay when he reached puberty, but realizing that many of the boys he found attractive looked like his younger sister, he once fondled the girl to see if that would satisfy his urges. Nielsen excelled in school and joined the British Army Cadets at the age of 14 and enlisted in the Army in 1961, being stationed as a cook in Cyprus and Germany. He left 11 years later and briefly worked as a policeman before taking work in a government employment office in London. Throughout this time, he had many short flings with men, but no long-term relationships of any sort, and remained in the closet to his peers. He suffered from extreme loneliness and felt isolated from the world at large and had begun drinking heavily. Beginning in 1978, something in him snapped, and he decided the way he could keep a man was by killing him. His first victim was a 14-year-old boy he claimed to have met at a gay bar, who he strangled with a necktie before drowning him in a bucket of water, then engaged in sex acts with the corpse, which he kept beneath his floorboards for 8 months before burning it in the backyard. Nielsen then attempted to kill an exchange student from Hong Kong, but the man escaped, and though he reported the incident to police, he didn't want to participate in a prosecution, and no charges were filed. Nielsen then went on a spree of killing at least 11 more young men and teens, many of them foreign students, male prostitutes, or homeless runaways. Strangulation and drowning followed by acts of necrophilia were his preferred methods of killing, and he would stash his victims under his floorboards, spraying his apartment with insecticide and deodorizers to deal with living on tops of rotting corpses. He burned their bodies in his backyard on 2 occasions, adding a tire to the mass funeral pyres to cover up the smell. After about a half-dozen men had been killed, one potential victim escaped and went to the police, who believed it to simply be a lover's quarrel and declined to take any action. Another 2 potential victims escaped, but nothing was done to stop Nielsen, with them fearing being outed. Nielsen's landlord forced him to move in 1981, and his first victim in his new home fought back, nearly choking Nielsen when he was trying to strangle the man. When he finally killed his victim, Nielsen dismembered the body, hiding the parts around his home and flushing much of the flesh down the toilet. He then killed a homeless man and again flushed pieces of him down the drain. Nielsen's final victim was killed and cut up like the last 2, but the drain pipes in his neighborhood had become clogged. When neighbors experienced slow drains and backed up toilets, they called a plumber, who discovered human remains filling up the system. A lengthy investigation took place, and in 1983, Nielsen was arrested and charged with multiple murders. He confessed, but didn't know exactly how many men he had killed in the past 5 years, though it was at least a dozen, and perhaps as many as 17. A search of his house and previous residence found 3 human heads, numerous rotten body parts, and multiple bones. He was quickly convicted and sentenced to life in prison, dying behind bars from a blood clot in 2018 in Yorkshire. Nielsen was the subject of a Netflix documentary, and the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, played him in a TV movie in 2020. If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send them this video so I can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Dennis Andrew Nielsen, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.